Another source that dates as early as the 1st century AD is the Testament of Solomon, which provides insight on Judaic demonology and astrology. In this account, an important demon, Asmodeus, ruler of all demons, is controlled and used by King Solomon to build the mythologically eternal Temple of Solomon. In the Testament of Solomon, Asmodeus and Solomon dialogue, and we learn that Asmodeus personifies the sacred fish that consumed Solomon's ring and is subdued by burning fish liver and gall to bid Solomon his work. And I adjured him, he said, by the name of the Lord of Sabaoth, saying, Fear God, Asmodeus, and tell me by what angel thou art frustrated. But he said, By Raphael, the archangel that stands before the throne of God. But the liver and gall of a fish put me to flight when smoked over ashes of the tamarisk. I again asked him and said, Hide not aught from me, for I am Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. Tell me the name of the fish which thou reverest. And he answered, It is Glanos by name, and found in the rivers of Assyria. Wherefore it is that I roam about in those parts, and I ordered them to give him 10 water jars to carry water in. And the demon groaned terribly and did the work I ordered him to do. And this I did, because that fierce demon Asmodeus knew even the future. And I, Simon, glorified God, who gave wisdom to me, Solomon, his servant. And the liver of the fish and its gall I hung on the spike of a reed and burned it over Asmodeus, because of his being so strong, and his unbearable malice was thus frustrated. This demon is mentioned not only in this account, but also in the Book of Tobit by Herodotus, in the histories, and in the geography account by Strabo. In the Book of Tobit, in spite of a powerful Asmodeus, a miraculous healing of sight occurs. Tobit 11, 2-14 describes it as, quote, Then Raphael said to Tobias, Take the gall of the fish with you. I know, Tobias, that your father will open his eyes. You therefore must anoint his eyes with the gall, and when they smart he will rub them, and it will cause the white film to fall away, and he will see you, end quote. Then Anna ran to meet them and embraced her son and said to him, quote, I have seen you, my child, now I am ready to die. And they both wept. Tobit started toward the door and stumbled, but his son ran to him and took hold of his father, and he sprinkled the gall upon his father's eyes, saying, Be of good cheer, father. And when his eyes began to smart, he rubbed them, and the white film scaled off from the corners of his eyes. Then he saw his son and embraced him, and he wept and said, Blessed art thou, Lord O God, and blessed is thy name forever, and blessed are all thy holy angels, end quote. According to the National Library of Medicine, use of fish gall to cure what is believed to be called a condition known as chlamydia trachomatis was probably based upon a common practice at the time that may have, in fact, aided the resolution of the persistent white film and restoration of vision. The word gall recalls the medium with which the black ink of the seal was made from and drawn with. Iron gall ink, which is also known as oak gall ink or iron gall nut ink, has been around since 5000 BC and is still available for the use today in art. Composed of iron salts and tannic acid from natural resources like trees, it binds to proteins, cellulose, starches, and minerals, and is insoluble and resistant. Tannins have a permanent quality, but according to the United States Department of Agriculture Forest Services, they are known to leach out of the plant sources and into the soil and water sources. It seems visually articulated that the use of this gall to create the otter, seal, and fish symbol on the 34 recto Cairo iota miniature is a reference to the Book of Tobit, the gall of the fish, and to the iron gall ink source composed of iron salts and tannic acid. Tannic acid, found in trees like the oak, is known for its protective attributes. Tannins also have an importance in the Eucharist and its consumption, for the wine, or the transmuted blood of Christ, is composed of tannins from the grape skins and from the wood barrels used to age it. Also, according The USDAFS tannins that become stored in the bark of trees protect the tree from being infected by bacteria or fungi. There is a literal protective element associated with the use of this media here, especially on 34 recto. Parallels exist between the stories of King Solomon and Philocrates, king of Samos. Both beneficent wise rulers, they are affected by the demon Asmodeus. Asmodeus takes the ring that associates the kings with good fortune and tosses it in the water, where a fish swallows it. The fish is caught and served, and the ring is returned to the rightful owner in both cases. Although the token does not bring infallibility, and sin is the eventual downfall of both kings, a divine immutable seal, a signum, is created. And this signum does not have to be embodied in a ring. For example, in Deuteronomy, Jews identify phylacteries as warding off evil spirits. Samos is an island of wealth and power with connections to Egypt and Herodotus' seminal work, The Histories. Iona, similarly an island of great wealth and power, is connected through trade by scholars to Egypt and the Middle East. The ruler around which Herodotus writes is crucified by the Persians, but the saint for which Kells was composed was not. This story serves as a literary foil. Polycrates' luck ran out, but Columbus and the sacred island of Iona and his book did not. Iona established a thessalocracy, or a supreme sea power, and increasing maritime empire like Samos, but raiding of the Vikings forced its relocation to Kells, Ireland. Polycrates, whose reign lasted from the 540s BC to 522 BC, parallels Solomon, who reigns from 970 BC to 931 BC through the story of the ring seal literary device. The Testament of Solomon, a pseudographic treatise on the forms and activities of demons and the charms effective against them, shows that the demons can be used to good ends. The author of the Testament was a Greek-speaking Jewish Christian that said demons will rule the world till the Son of God, who is spoken of as born of a virgin, shall be hung on a cross. Demonology and astrology are closely tied in Judaism and the Old Testament. Judaism affirms that God delegates the constellations to carry out his will. Like in Psalm 147, where he says he counts the number of the stars, he gives them all their names. Rabbi David Kimchi, the medieval biblical commentator and philosopher, says that a name or a star refers to its function, that is, the way God uses the celestial body as a messenger to govern the universe. Astrology posits that each of us is made up of unique combinations of the basic elements of fire, earth, air, and water. Like everything in creation, each of these elements has a positive and negative expression, weaknesses and strengths. In the Old Testament, in Genesis, it states, and Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide day from night, and let them be for signs, and for the seasons, and for a day, and for years. Therefore the stars are for signs, and Solomon is a master in the science of employing and reading those signs." The Jewish hero Daniel was put in charge of all exorcists, astrologers, diviners, magicians, and wise men during his time, which brought astrology into Jewish culture. Many Jewish mystical esoteric tomes exist on the extensive discussion of astrological understanding, like the rules of the constellations, the Book of Creation, or the Book of Formation, the Book of Raziel, the Angel, the Book of Life, the Book of Mysteries, and the Book of Radiance. The rules of the constellations discuss the stars and Israel's place beyond them. The Book of Creation, or the Book of Formation, describes human origin, and dates vary from as early as Abraham to the 2nd century BC to as late as the 6th century AD. The Book of Raziel, the Angel, is an account of the angel imparting divine knowledge to humans and is dated to the medieval period. The Book of Life, discussing the essence of God, his names, his powers, and the ends with mankind's ethical problems of good and evil and ways to overcome those problems, is not ascribed to an exact date. The Book of Mysteries is a story about knowledge given by Raziel to Noah that has origins dating back to the Diluvian times, but the text itself is dated to the 3rd century AD. The Book of Splendor, or the Book of Radiance, comments on the Torah, which discusses topics like God's nature, universal origin and structure, the nature of souls, and the good and evil, among other mystical concerns, dating as early as the Mosaic times to its record into the 2nd century AD. These Talmudic texts, the term Talmud literally meaning and associated with the words study, instruction, learning, and detail, are all significantly appropriate sources and are devices which represent universal truth standing outside time, influencing the scribes and artists creating the Book of Kells.